Okay, Dave, so here's the setup. I haven't put the screw rod in just yet, but this is the tank, and this is the stand that you wanted, the pegboard stand. And this is set up in such a way that this piece can rotate, because when you go to tighten this hose onto your tank, this piece has to be able to rotate. And what I'm doing here is, this is the module that will connect onto your pressure tanks. In this test, we are going to be simulating it with this end cap. This portion of the unit would actually be connected to your oxygen tank, and this piece here will stay on the oxygen tank. It has a pressure gauge here, and it disconnects at these two valves. I'm going to open these two valves, and we have to bleed this thing. We have to get all the air out of it, and we are then going to use the screw to pressurize that tank. Now, okay, here's the little test setup I'm going to do. We're at about 500 psi's there. I'm going to show you what we got here, Dave Co. About 5 psi's here. I'm going to show you what we got, Dave. Here's my drill. Here we go. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? How simple that is. So what we would want to do, we're going to bring this up to 1,000 psi. Then we're going to close it. I'm going to go over just a touch and then close these valves. Dude, it didn't like that. Didn't like that either. Now, your target was 800 psi's, okay? So we're going to call that a success. And that was so easy, guys, to do that. Now, a lot of your expense comes from the fact this is all food grade 316 stainless steel. And I did have to add this bracket for you on request. I do have another shank to put on that. You want to, or a U-bolt, I'm sorry. You want to keep this thing loose, as I said, so that it can spin when you're connecting this portion to the tank. You never take this hose off the valve. You always just connect these two valves. You need to use Loctite on all these fittings, okay? This is not Loctite. This is just a temporary piece to test the unit. I am bleeding just a hair of pressure there. But so far, so good. This valve is only rated for 1,000 psi's working pressure, so we're not going to want to go over that. And the specifications that you required stipulated 800 psi's, so we should be okay there. But you did see how one could accidentally, possibly easily overpressure very quickly. One of the cool things about this device is that it can also be used for things like checking fuel injection systems. But I think something like this would also work for fuel injection systems and things like that. But for the most part, brother, I think this is going to do just what you want. You're looking at about $690 or so in parts here, guys. Or actually about $600. I have to check. I'm not exactly sure. I think I have 2 of these hoses is the deal. This one's all 316 stainless, inside and out. Convoluted tubing and everything, man. This is an awesome piece of hardware right here. I definitely think it was worth the $70 it took to get it here. But as you can see, fellas, this thing's holding pressure. I'm going to go ahead and disconnect the unit and get this thing away from my fire pit here, which is blazing hot. I am like literally melting. Jeez, that little bit of coal is just incredible amount of energy coming off of that carbon there. So that's the setup, Dave. I hope this does your deed. And this is the module. Like, you would want one of these modules on every tank. This would not come off the tank. You need this to get the material in and out of the tank. If you're using, I don't know what you're putting in there, but that's your business. I don't even want to know. And we're going to go from here. I'm backing off to let oil flow back into the hole. Decided to just fill that cup to a good enough level. Man, this thing's like 8 feet thick. It's still going. It's way thicker than the wall edge we see there, I can tell you that. Very deep hole. Okay, I'm just doing this to start the cut. I'm not actually going to use the drill press to do this operation. For all of you who are cringing and commenting, just slow down. I'm going to try a technique. I'm going to shave the front end a little bit, then I'm going to use the channel locks to grip the chuck and complete the job without the motor. Okay, now at this stage I'm going to try and turn the chuck manually in order to get a perfectly perpendicular threading, because I often have problems getting the threads to come out perpendicular. So I'm also giving this a little push. Oops, it was biting. I've often seen videos of guys where they get ready to thread something with the drill press and they'll show the video with it all chucked up, and then all of a sudden we cut scene. They never show the follow through because it's a nightmare. It doesn't work. It doesn't work for me. You might be able to get it to work. I can't. Man, it is cutting hard. This is stainless steel here, so I'm not expecting this to be easy at all. I'm expecting this to just really tick me off. What's going on here? Yep, there it goes. It's already starting. I'm slipping. Maybe that started enough that I can do it manually now. If anybody has any input on the property of stainless steel seizing, please feel free to enlighten us. I've noticed in the past when putting together a stainless steel thermocouple that once I assembled it hand tight, I was unable to take it apart. It was stuck together. Finger tight. I'm sorry, not hand tight. I usually refer to hand tight as to how tight you can get something with a wrench, just by, without getting crazy and bracing yourself. Okay, I don't know why, but this thing is popping. It's making some horrifying noises. Oh, do you hear that? The average person would think I just broke my tap. But it is not broken. It is a stick slip event taking place possibly as a result of using this crap oil. I don't know if I like this stuff. Any input on that would be great. Here we go, it's gonna pop. Oh, I hate that. It's so scary. Oh, like I'm afraid to keep going. So far, so good. It's the most horrifying sound in the world. This is like a $30 part, $20 tap, tool, and it would take weeks to replace this cap. Not to mention getting a tap out of something this deep. It'd be a video in itself. I gotta get this ship off the ground. Oh, China, you dirty dogs. What brand was this? Hold on just a second here. Not sure, but this might be Vermont American. I could be wrong. I think I threw the package away. So, good deal. What is that, an 8mm? I'm going to do something very stupid now. This is definitely a sacrificial tap. This one's for you, Dave. Going in, brother. Okay, here we go. Now I'm feeling what's going on with my hands. We're cutting. Get back out. Don't know if we're getting any cut in the reverse at all. Just the fact that it's tight tells me we might be. So I'm gonna go do the reverse. It's getting there. Man, this thing is killing me. I think we're going downhill though. I do. I think we are. Here we go. Yep. We made it. Very fascinating piece of hardware. Hopefully it does not get damaged in shipping. I'm worried about this thing getting bent because I don't want to take it apart. So it will be shipped in a box with the radius bend in it. And I hope that it's not damaged in that process. I need to check the radius limitations before I ship it. I may end up needing to make the box a little bit longer just to accommodate that. So for the most part, your gauge is also completely stainless. The tube is also stainless, the inside. So this is completely food grade. Pretty fancy little gauge. I really like it. I think this thing's gonna be perfect. And let me know if you have any problems. I'm also gonna send you this roll of Blue Monster thread. Some good thick stuff. You don't want to put it on there too thick. It's gonna be something you're gonna have to practice to get it to work well. But as you've seen, all you got to do is turn the drill till you see the pressure you want, and then just turn the valve off right here. You want to turn this valve off first, and that will capture the pressure setting that you have, and this thing should not leak if you get these threads here sealed properly with this. And I want you to take this bottle and hide it after you've put this on the tank. I don't want your employees getting any ideas of putting it on here or something like that, because that would not be cool. We don't want it getting put on this part either. You're definitely going to want to filter any solution coming out of this, because there is going to be some Teflon tape debris. As far as I know, this Teflon's food grade compatible. I mean, it wouldn't be used in potable water systems if it wasn't. I found no information on SDF as to the contrary, so, or MSDF, I'm sorry. I'm stuttering at this point. This bracket should just mount right to the wall for you. It's fairly heavy duty. I don't see it coming off. Solid metal, steel, carbon steel, and you should be good to go, man. Let me know if you have any problems. I just wanted to run a couple of things by you real quick here. When you go to connect the hose to the tank module, you're going to use thread tape right here, and not this sealant that I'm sending for you. This sealant is for this thread only. This particular module will connect to your pressure tank in place of the existing valve, and basically right in there. So you're going to want to remove the valve on your existing tanks and replace the whole thing with this unit right here. And this unit stays on the tank, as I said. This enables you to read the pressure. If it looks like it needs a little pressure boost or whatever, you'll be able to do that. Vice versa. Also, most importantly, this enables you to fill the canister easily. You would never get that tank filled with the current setup. Now, during testing, I did accidentally loosen this inner thread here, so I have put some Loctite 567 inside here also. So be careful you don't over tighten this connection when you tighten it. They recommend that you finger tighten it first, and then give it 1.5 to just 1 additional turn of tightening.
Sometimes I go a little bit more than that, but you do not want to over tighten these two connections when you are using this device, because what will happen is this inner spud will come loose when you go to take it apart, and that would depressurize the tank. It's not a big deal. You just have to tighten it in there and start over. It's just a hassle. It won't break it or anything like that. It's just one of those situations. Some of the joints have been Loctited and some of them have been welded. Wherever I could weld them without damaging anything, I have done that. Unfortunately, I don't own a TIG welder, which would have been better for this. So we had to deal with some MIG welds. They're a little bit not quite as pretty, but everything passed the leak test. That was the main point. These welds aren't structural, they're just for leaks. So we should be good to go. And for the most part, another thing I want you to remember is do not tighten these U-bolts. This canister is designed to be able to rotate so that you can thread the unit together. As you crank the wrench, this tank will roll on its own. This here is your piston. And that of course goes in the top aperture here. And if it acts up on you and acts like it doesn't want to pressure up, that means you have an air bubble in the system. This is a piece of convoluted tubing. It's corrugated tubing. I'm not sure that I have a piece of that available to show you. Let me see here. Imagine that. You see that object right there? It has a piece of stainless steel tube very similar to that inside of that sheath. That there happens to be an electrode I made years ago. But very fascinating piece of hardware. Hopefully it does not get damaged in shipping. I'm worried about this thing getting bent because I don't want to take it apart. So it will be shipped in a box with the radius bend in it. And I hope that it's not damaged in that process. I need to check the radius limitations before I ship it. I may end up needing to make the box a little bit longer just to accommodate that. So for the most part, your gauge is also completely stainless. The tube is also stainless, the inside. So this is completely food grade. Pretty fancy little gauge. I really like it. I think this thing's gonna be perfect. And let me know if you have any problems. I'm also gonna send you this roll of Blue Monster thread. Some good thick stuff. You don't want to put it on there too thick. It's gonna be something you're gonna have to practice to get it to work well. But as you've seen, all you gotta do is turn the drill till you see the pressure you want, and then just turn the valve off right here. You want to turn this valve off first, and that will capture the pressure setting that you have, and this thing should not leak if you get these threads here sealed properly with this. And I want you to take this bottle and hide it after you've put this on the tank. I don't want your employees getting any ideas of putting it on here or something like that, because that would not be cool. We don't want it getting put on this part either. You're definitely going to want to filter any solution coming out of this, because there is going to be some Teflon tape debris. As far as I know, this Teflon's food grade compatible. I mean, it wouldn't be used in potable water systems if it wasn't. I found no information on SDF as to the contrary, so, or MSDF, I'm sorry. I'm stuttering at this point. This bracket should just mount right to the wall for you. It's fairly heavy duty. I don't see it coming off. Solid metal, steel, carbon steel, and you should be good to go, man. Let me know if you have any problems. I was unable to find any specifications regarding the maximum bend radius of this tubing. So if we have a problem with that, let me know. I will replace it. This thing costs like $100 once it's all said and done. This is a 3000 PSI tube, and that was purchased from the company Matheson. It cost 71 bucks, but shipping was like $25 or something like that. I can't remember. Very nice piece of equipment. And this is a really cool website. You guys ought to check them out if you're looking for strange equipment like this. They have got some really exotic stuff on this website. Some of this stuff would definitely work for your applications. Okay, brother. You are in a box, Daveco. All I need now is your address. I have no idea where this is going, and you're out of town. Hit me up, man.